Welcome to the Silverthorne Pulse. I'm Kim Jardim with the town of Silverthorne. I'm here today with Town Manager Ryan Highland, and we are going to recap the November 13th work session and Town Council meeting for 2024. We're nearing the end of the year.
We are.
So just one meeting in November.
One meeting in November and one coming up in December. So a little bit of a break for the council and staff.
For sure. So let's jump into work session. There was a discussion regarding the CDOT Dillon and Silverthorne Mobility Plan update.
Yes, we have been working along with Dillon, the county, and CDOT on a study, really started many years ago when we were talking about exit 205 specifically, just that interchange. And over the years, working with CDOT, we have looked at taking a more holistic approach to looking at traffic throughout the corridor. And so this was a study that looked at the interchange, but then also Highway 6 and 9 up to the top of the hill in Dillon, and then kind of out to the northern end of Silverthorne. So gave council a preview of what we would be walking the public through at an open house that happened 2 days ago, I guess. And so a lot of work, and at the end of the study, now looking at what are the action steps. And so what really came out were three things. One of the analogies that we've used is the intersection or the interchange itself. If you expand the capacity there, that's great, but it doesn't really do you any good if you still have limitations on the roads that feed it. So while historically it looked like the diverging diamond interchange was the solution, now the thinking has shifted and looking again more holistically at the whole corridor and signal timing. And so CDOT's done some good work there and gotten some more efficiency. So we've seen a little bit of relief with some of the traffic. Over the next probably 5 years, there'll be a lot of advancement, I think, in the technology and kind of smart signals, sort of AI technology, if you will. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Access was the second part of really what the study honed in on, and making sure that we limit some of the movements that are out there. So taking a left-hand turn in certain places kind of gums things up, and so as you get more traffic, sometimes you have to push people to a signal versus kind of, a bit of more of the free-for-all that we have now with a lot of the left-hand turns. Target being one example. There was a lot of council conversation about that one. And then the third one is just, getting people out of cars. And so making sure that we've got lots of sidewalk connections, the Blue River Trail, bike lanes, and things of that nature. So you can find the study on CDOT's website. If you just Google Silverthorne CDOT, it pops up pretty easily. So next steps, one of the big things that was in the study, although it is CDOT controls the highway, and this is really, all of their infrastructure. But on Stevens Way, the town has been doing a lot of work because that's one of those feeder streets. And so obviously we've talked before about the purchase of Pizza Hut and Burger King and being able to 4-lane that and realign it. One of the big things that came out of the study is realigning that so the intersection there would kind of be where Burger King was. And then you would come from kind of around the backside of First Bank and line up those two roads together. So lots of funding needed to make those a reality. We are partnering with CDOT to pursue a RAISE grant, a federal grant. That's kind of the first opportunity to go seek funding. Who knows if we'll get that. But encourage people to check the study out. We'll take a lot of years to implement, and we'll be seeking a lot of grant funds to try and jumpstart that.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah,
that's been a conversation for a lot of years. 18
months of study in about 2 minutes there.
Right,
so,
right. And several years of conversations.
Yeah, many years of conversations with CDOT. So we're happy to be partnering to pursue grants, and no silver bullets. Traffic is traffic. We live in a really, really popular place, and it's not going to be any less popular, but how do we make the most efficient use of that infrastructure is what we're looking at.
Excellent. The next item is an item near and dear to my heart since I oversee the nonprofit grant program for the town. Mm-hmm. So the 2025 recommendations were presented to council for approval.
Yeah, every year, like you said, you know this very well. We have a subcommittee of council members who work with you and other staff to look at a huge request list and figure out what we can accommodate there. And on Wednesday night, we reviewed the work of the subcommittee with the council. They said, sounds great, looks great. And so we'll be getting those letters out to folks, I think, before the end of the year.
Yes.
And yeah, another great process. About $70,000, I think, is what's budgeted
For cash.
For cash.
Cash
and
grants.
then also we do provide usage at the pavilion, the rec center, the art spot, athletic fields.
Yes.
For in-kind support as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful how generous our community is. It's not just us that are giving these funds out, but all of the other municipalities, including Summit County.
Yeah,
So
good program.
excellent. Also, great news, the Smith Ranch Apartments are nearing their time to be leased.
Yeah, they've got the certificate of occupancy through our building inspection process was issued for all 3 of the buildings. And so Gorman is underway. Gorman is our partner who has built the project. They are in the process of reviewing applications and doing lotteries. And so we should see folks moving in there before too long. So excited to have some new folks welcome to Silverthorne.
That's great. So moving into the regular council meeting, we had a resolution to support the application for a grant from DOLA for the Hummingbird Water Sewer Project Phase 2.
Yeah, we have been working on Hummingbird this past year, a lot of work, kind of phase 1 on replacing water lines. We received grant funding for that project, and so now we're seeking, I think it was $850,000 potentially for phase 2. So fingers crossed that we can secure some more grant funds from the state. Do want to thank everybody living on Hummingbird for their patience. It's obviously disruptive when we get into replacing water lines, and so a lot of work had gone on up there this summer, and appreciate everybody's patience. But new infrastructure in there and stronger water flow if we ever find ourselves needing that for fire protection. So a great upgrade, but construction is always disruptive.
Definitely. There's a lot going on around town. So under action items, we had an ordinance approving the conveyance of a private access easement to Appray Shores. So this is related to planning, right? And,
Yeah.
and a traffic light, the traffic light
Our
there.
transportation master plan, this is the light at Annie Road, so that's basically the traffic signal that's right there at Target. And we own the parcel that is right across the street at that light. And so we can provide access for the development that's going into the south so that their new owners don't need to go and do the U-turn, but they could access from that light. So this is an easement that allows them to be able to take that access.
That's great. There was also a memorandum of understanding, also known as an MOU, regarding the Low property between the town and the Willowbrook Metropolitan District,
Yeah.
which is the folks that live at Ruby Ranch, correct?
Correct, and I'll just tackle this one with the next item, the public hearing for the purchase of the Low property.
Yes.
Because they're both related. But yeah, the first item, although we will be working with all of the stakeholders, including all of the neighborhoods in the area and many more folks when we talk about just exactly what the future of that open space might be. But there's some particular things that link the Willowbrook Metropolitan District, also known as Ruby Ranch, with the town now that we own that property, and we did close on that property the other day. There's an access easement that runs across Ruby Ranch property or the Metro District's property. And then on the Low Ranch itself, they have some water rights that involve a ditch, and so there's some interactions between the town and the district that really warranted a memorandum of understanding about how we go forward when we're talking about the future of that open space. So appreciate the representatives from the district working with the town, and there's an understanding on how we move forward with our communications and planning. And then, yeah, that second item was the actual second reading of the purchase of the property. And so we did close in partnership with Summit County, so 50-50 partners on the Low Ranch, which again, it's 11 acres kind of situated between Willow Creek Highlands, Willowbrook, and the Ruby Ranch neighborhood. Great history, and we're excited to be able to now look at the future of that and how we might introduce the public to that history and that space. A lot of planning will take place before that happens, but excited about that opportunity for our community.
That's a beautiful piece of property there.
Yeah,
It really is. It's very picturesque.
Yeah, it
Very
is.
Colorado.
Yeah.
So under public hearings, there was also a couple of ordinances, one adopting the 2020 rates and fees, and one adopting the 2025 budget. These were both second readings, so we won't see these again.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the whole budget process, and this is really the culmination of a lot of work that started basically in the summer, getting the budget all ready, and no real changes from first reading, and so just a unanimous approval from council. And the budget's never really done. It's always in flux. It's a dynamic thing, but we are approved for our 2025 budget.
Excellent. There was also a resolution to deny the conditional use permit for the retro station located at 795 Blue River Parkway.
Yeah, conditional use permits are something that can be utilized in the town. We have, I don't know, maybe close to 40, where if a business is not zoned for the, or the use is not lined up exactly with the zoning, you can do a conditional use permit. And so that is what exists at the retro station, which is an auto detailing and windshield shop, and they were looking to expand that conditional use into a different building. So it had gone through Planning Commission. Planning Commission on a split vote had recommended for denial, and so that's why this resolution was set up for denial. Council ultimately approved with conditions that they could occupy that space in that second building. Some significant parking challenges, some history of not being in compliance with their conditional use permit, which council made very clear that they need to be in compliance. So not parking in the fire lane and some other things that have been challenging. But ultimately, that conditional use permit was approved for the retro station at that location, which we mentioned that traffic signal earlier, right at the corner of Target, for anyone who's not familiar with where they're located.
Right. Excellent. And then you moved into executive session, and this was regarding properties located at 247 and 309 Rainbow Drive, which is the old Green Village of the outlets.
Yeah, the Green Village where Old Navy used to be located. There are, the outlets do not own that. They have sold that to a new owner a few years ago, and they're seeking to redevelop. And so one of the things that would be necessary is a development agreement, and that is something that we discussed with Town Council in the executive session. At some point, that development agreement would end up on the regular public session, but while we're negotiating, we talk about that within the confidentiality of the executive session.
Great. And it is the holiday season, so we're moving into some holiday celebrations around our town. The Elks Lodge has a holiday bazaar on December 21st from 10 to 3. But also our First Friday is coming up on December 6th, and that is the holiday lighting and art market at the pavilion. And it will continue into Saturday, December 7th, for those that want to come and shop at the bazaar on Saturday from 10 to 3.
Yeah, so Friday night or Saturday morning if you're a shopper. Doing that again on Saturday morning is a new thing, and so I think that's great for all of the folks that are providing their art for sale there. So, and yeah, lots of local artists also at the Elks Lodge event that you mentioned. So come out and support your local artists when you're doing your shopping.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.